Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekin for a free $200 credit. Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by MailChimp. Manage lists with up to 2,000 subscribers and send up to 12,000 emails per month for free with MailChimp. And by Squarespace. Use the promo code TWiST8 when signing up to save 10%.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups. Today, a great entrepreneur is on the program, the founder of Hotel Tonight. You may have heard of it. Take out your phone, press a button, have a hotel room tonight. It is what it says it is. Stick with us. It's going to be a great episode.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups, the program where we talk about entrepreneurship, the program where we talk about creating things, making products that are not okay, not good, not great, but excellent, extraordinary, the 10 of the 10s. And today we have one of those products. Hotel Tonight is an awesome product that's sweeping the mobile landscape. A lot of great people are involved with it. And it's getting a lot of kudos. Very innovative. It's almost like the Uber of hotels, if you will. And I just used it recently and had actually a little bit of an up and down. A little bit of an up and down experience. So we're going to talk about that with the founder, Sam Shank. But before we get to that, let me just start by saying thank you to all the members of the TWiST back channel. These are the people who subscribe to the program, basically voluntarily, 300 of them on a secret mailing list. And if you go to twistlist.co, TWiST.co, you'll see what all the excitement's about. And you can join the back channel, the email list, where we basically talk startups all day. It's like the little extension of the program. If you can't get enough of the program between each episode, twistlist.co is the place to go. And of course, thank you to MailChimp. Okay, MailChimp. MailChimp is a great program for delivering mail. I use it software as a service, and they're free if you have 2,000 subscribers or just send 12,000 emails a month. That's crazy. That's probably most mailing lists in the world. Why do they do that? They're so confident you're going to enjoy their product, and it's so feature-rich that they'll provide it for free for you to start using. And they do it as software as a service, so you pay as you go. And they just made these gorgeous email templates. And here they are. And they launched this gorgeous gallery. You should go take a look at it. Just type in MailChimp email templates, and you'll click on one of the links and you'll find it there. But you can pick from all these different emails. Now, back in the day, if you wanted to make something this good looking, this gorgeous, you would be, say to promote your iPhone app, you would be engaging a designer and a programmer and a developer, and then somebody, a sysadmin possibly. I remember, because back in the Silicon Valley Reporter days, I would have to get somebody to do the servers to send the email using QMail servers or something. Then I had to have some analyst look at what was bouncing. Then there was another person who was designing it, then another person who was doing the database, and another person who was doing the HTML. Literally, there were 5, 6, 7 people involved in this process. Well, guess what? MailChimp's got dozens and dozens of people solving these problems at a much higher level and then charging you fractions of pennies on the dollar for their services. You can look like a professional for pennies, and that's really amazing. And that's what this is about. I mean, this is why startups are really taking over, because you can't tell the difference between a startup that's got 2 people or a startup with 200 or 2,000 if you use a product like MailChimp. I give it my highest endorsement. It's the product I've been using for 5 years or so now, and I love it. And I got rid of all the other email services I was using, and I went all in on MailChimp. And then they saw me tweeting about how much I loved it, and they were like, hey, we love you. And I was like, well, I love you. And they were like, well, we love you. And then they sent me a bunch of MailChimp stuff for my daughter, and this whole love affair with MailChimp started, and they started sponsoring the program. And, we have our choice of sponsors on this program. We don't take anybody. And in fact, I just kicked the sponsor off. Well, I never let them on the air because I was like, I don't know if I can trust that one. And we didn't take the e-cigarette ads either. We got offered e-cigarettes a couple years ago. That was pretty good, right, huh, Sam?
Yeah.
You just picture me right here, like how uncomfortable that would be. Hi, I'm Jason Calacanis for Acme e-cigarettes. Ah, yes, when you can't smoke in an airport lounge anymore, you could just suck nicotine and other chemicals directly into your lungs and bloodstream. I endorse it wholeheartedly. Go ahead and use electronic cigarettes and kill yourself. I mean, really, how am I going to read that ad?
I think you made the right call, man.
Right call, MailChimp over electronic
You
cigarettes?
went out on a limb, but I think you made the right call. So.
I saw some dude like last year in an airport using an electronic cigarette. And people around him would get like a little freaked out. And he's like, it's just mist. It's just like vapors. And
are you allowed to do it without?
I don't think so,
smoke?
but nobody had stopped him because he was just like sort of doing it in the corner. But very weird, very weird. Hey, and so that's a great segue. And you use MailChimp, right?
We do at Hotel Tonight. We've used it since day one, and it's grown with us really nicely.
So you don't have to have 3 of your developers like figuring out how to get email into people's Gmail and Yahoo and pass their spam filters.
It's not our core competency, so we can let somebody else do it and pay them a very reasonable fee for it.
It's kind of like everybody who uses it is kind of like, how do they do it for such a cheap price? And let's not talk about the price because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
And how many emails you got in there?
A lot. We won't say, but a lot.
I bet it's 6 figures even.
Oh yeah, well into 6 figures. So.
Wow. So you trust them with literally hundreds of thousands of emails.
We do.
And probably sending millions a year.
Probably, yeah.
Wow. Hey, there's a big endorsement. I don't have to read the ad. So, Sam, you founded Hotel Tonight, and you previously worked at Sidestep, which was acquired by Kayak. Which came first with that whole, Sidestep, Kayak-like interface? Was it Sidestep or Kayak?
So it's interesting. So Sidestep actually came up with the idea for travel meta search, but they did it in an IE5 or IE4 sidebar.
I remember the IE4 5-star sidebar.
And it was a download. So Kayak saw that and they said, wow, this is pretty cool as a concept, but it should be a website. It shouldn't be a download because downloads have all these troubles. So the Kayak website actually launched before Sidestep got around to launching their own website. But they were always playing, catch up, Kayak was, just because of the inertia that Sidestep had until they bought them. So
and that was a pretty good outcome for everybody. And you were the VP of Biz Dev. What does that mean to be the VP of Biz Dev at a company like that? What does that position do for people who don't know?
I don't know. I was sort of like an EIR there at Sidestep. So I did a lot of different things. So I joined Sidestep by the acquisition of TravelPost, which was my first company. It's a hotel review site. So I ran TravelPost within there, and then I was looking to do more things. So I started doing distribution deals. So I talked with Jason and of Mahalo and other people about getting Sidestep into their products. And so there's a lot of distribution deals, I think, was sort of the main focus of business.
And those can be transformative to a business, yeah?
It can be, yeah. Some of the deals we were looking at would have increased our traffic 20, 30%.
Wow.
So
you work on those deals for the 6 months, 9 months. It's not like being a salesperson, even though there's a lot of selling involved in it. People tend to confuse business development and sales.
That's right. And business development varies from company to company, I think. So I think the best term for it is that I've heard, or best description of it, goes back to my days at Excite in business development, where it's product development through partnership. So adding product features or getting the product in front of other.
I like that. Product development through,
So it encaptures a lot of stuff, encapsulates a lot of stuff. But in the terms of what I was doing at Sidestep, it was more marketing through partnership was the deal. So it was had a revenue share component to it, but not a direct revenue component the way that the ad sales guys had.
Yeah, and you were at Excite, huh? At Excite at home.
Yeah.
Wow, you're at a portal.
That's right.
You are old school.
That's right.
Hey, let's talk about hotel reviews for a second. Can you trust the hotel reviews that you find online, in your estimation? Do you trust them personally?
I think people are smart and they take everything with a grain of salt. And I think that what's missing with the reviews out there now is context around them. And that's what we tried to do at TravelPost. We were early, we were before the social graph, but we showed demographics of the reviewer. So
42-year-old female from Boise, Idaho versus a 17-year-old male.
Exactly. It's sort of a household income, which we used to say if they like luxury or didn't like luxury. So the example I used is that, in South Beach, the number one hotel, for my grandmother, which is a nice quiet place, with a view, would be the worst hotel for an 18-year-old who wants a party scene. So they're going to rate those hotels very differently. How
gamed are they? When you go on TripAdvisor and you see all these ads on Craigslist and other places, without talking specifically about TripAdvisor, but in general, Yelp, other places. I see ads on Craigslist all the time trying to pay Yelp elite people, pay TripAdvisor reviewers to put in bogus reviews. How many of those reviews do you think on a percentage basis are done by PR companies? Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of shades of gray in this. And so I don't know, estimate that 20-30% of them probably are.
Yeah, so 1 in 3 or 4.
But here's a shade of gray: is I'm a hotel, and I put a terminal in my lobby, a computer in my lobby, and say, hey, would you go over there real quick and write a review? And while you're there, I'll get you a cup of coffee. Right, and oh, you got a nice day. So is that wrong? I don't know.
Incentivizing a review.
It's incentive. It's encouraging a review, but sort of under the a little bit of incentive on it, right?
Yeah. So if there was payment, outright payment, maybe not.
If there's outright payment, TripAdvisor will kick you off, and Yelp will kick you off. But if there's encouragement, that's okay.
Right. So if I encourage you, hey, would love to have you fill out a review. And, we would really show our appreciation if you did.
Yeah.
And people do that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Or the social pressure of, please, it would really help my business if you wrote a review. Things have not been going well for me. Okay, sure, I'll write a review. And, that person knows who the person was that wrote the review. So if it's a negative review, they're going to feel bad about that.
Yeah.
So there's that's an area that we saw some of that at Travel Post. But it was actually very easy for us to spot the really bogus reviews where people didn't have anything to say that was specific. They were clearly written by someone who was paid to write a review that hadn't stayed there. And so I think the algorithms that TripAdvisor has are pretty easy, are getting pretty good to pull those off. But then people get more sophisticated about it as well.
Yeah, it's the whole war there. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Hotel Tonight. Let's actually show it here. I got the iPad fired up.
Yes.
Is this the latest version, or if I can pull that up? Can you pull up the Studio iPad, please? Let's see if it comes up. Oh, there it is. Now it's back up. Wow, gorgeous. Wow, that looks so good, the picture in the picture. So what do we see here? Is this the new version?
This is the iPad version. This came out about
used the iPad version.
4 months ago. It's a universal app, and we have the exact same functionality within that you get on the iPhone and the Android app.
Yeah.
But we've zoomed it up for bigger photos and higher resolution photos. So
wow,
you can go in
using
here.
This instead of the
iPhone.
iPhone.
Just really knocked it out of the park. They wanted to build something really cool that took advantage of the larger screen real estate.
So there's the Thompson LES, Lower East Side Hotel, which is a pretty hip, happening hotel. And I can get a room there tonight. This is actual data, correct?
This is... or
is that a demo?
This is demo data, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
but you can get rooms generally at a hotel that good in your service. And I've seen them in there. I've used it. I used it one time. We'll get to that in a second. But the idea of the service is I don't book ahead when I go to a city. I just trust that you're going to have great reviews.
Well, great deals.
Great deals.
We focus on, that's sort of not the premise and the use case that we advocate, but it's the use case is that it's last minute and you find out that you need a hotel room. You woke up, you didn't know you needed a hotel room. All of a sudden you need a hotel room. So
got it. I'm on a trip and
trip gets delayed or extended.
I got it.
And so that's about half of it, where people have a need, an emergency need or a last-minute travel need if they're business travelers. The other is we call them impulse bookers, where they would not normally book a hotel, wouldn't think about booking a hotel, but because of the quality of the deal, the quality of the hotel, because of the convenience of booking, they say, hey, I'm not going to drive back to Palo Alto tonight. I'm going to stay in San Francisco. I'm going to get a 4-star hotel for half price. If it was $200, I wouldn't spend that money, but if it's $100, I'm going to spend the night in the city.
So it's opportunistic. I would normally have taken the drive back in an hour, but since it's only $99 and I like this hotel and it normally costs $200, screw it, I'll just spend the hundo.
Yep, you got it.
I don't buy that completely.
So
I do think that there's that case, but I also think there's the case that young people are starting to fall in love with on-demand. So, and they don't like picking up the phone and talking to other humans. That third case must exist. Because I know I use Uber, I use Uber because I want to save money and I just don't want to talk to people on the phone and I don't want to waste somebody else's time booking a Lincoln Town Car for me. And I'm looking at Hotel Tonight really closely. I mean, I have a Starwood relationship with a lot of points in it, so that's sort of a mitigating factor because I can't use my Starwood points. But I'm starting to look at it saying, I'm going to just go to a city and I'm going to roll the dice knowing I'm going to get a half-price hotel. How much of the market is that third case scenario? People like me who maybe are canaries in the coal mine who are like, I like the idea of flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, we don't, when it's hard to read people's mind about why they're booking, and we do a lot of surveys to ascertain that, but ultimately it's hard to tell. So I think that there is that, to some extent, that shift going on, and people are, living their life on demand. They're ordering food at the last minute, or planning, getting a restaurant reservation last minute. With that, though, it does come some trade-offs, right? I would never use Hotel Tonight if I was going on a big island of Hawaii vacation with my family.
Yeah,
right?
a little risky there.
Not so much risky, but just no value that Hotel Tonight adds, because I know exactly where I want to stay, and I know that I want the certainty of the specific room, and I want to just have it done.
It's a special trip, so I want a special place, etc. But there might be some families on a budget who might actually do that. I mean, you will definitely have Big Island hotels every night.
Well, not in the Big Island now, but we have Honolulu, yeah. So
okay, so in Honolulu, 365 days a year, I'm going to get a room on Hotel Tonight. So it's not like I'm going to be roomless.
Right. So here's the trade-off. So the trade-off is you don't know which hotels are on sale every night. Right. So we show 3 hotels in Honolulu. We work with, say, 20. Right. They compete to be on display and have those 3 spots based on the quality of the deal. It's algorithmic, and so they're told what to do to get to the next point.
I was always wondering how you had the leverage over them. So there are only 3 options.
There's only 3 options. And that protects the hotel, because if every night we had half-price deals, it would work great for a couple weeks, and then all the hotels would be like, wait a second, why are we doing this?
Right.
So we provide a way for these hotels to sell their unsold rooms, this perishable inventory, but in a way that protects the hotel from any type of concern that people are going to wait to book that hotel. So, for example, the Thompson here, if I really want, or the Ace, one of our most popular hotels, if I really want to stay at the Ace.
That's like the Silicon Alley Hotel now, over on 27th or something.
Yeah, and it's a great place. We had our launch party there back a year and a half ago, and it's great. But if you really wanted to stay at the Ace, you couldn't use Hotel Tonight. Now, if you're looking on Hotel Tonight and you see the Ace come up, it sells out very, very quickly in a matter of minutes often. And that's people that say, hey, wow, the Ace is on sale. I'm not going to drive home to Connecticut tonight. I'm going to stay at the Ace. And that's where that incremental demand is coming from. So.
And you could only book a room after what time?
So we start at noon. So that gives another, it's one of the other benefits we give to hotels to say that, there's enough time for them to sell the room on other channels and directly. And then we're only picking up the rooms and selling the rooms that you can't sell otherwise. So it starts at noon, it goes till 2 in the morning, which is the last minute that the hotels will actually be able to sell a room.
Why is that?
It has to do with their reservation systems and just.
Got it. So if I come in at 3 in the morning, I'm actually buying for the next day? Is that how it works?
It
depends on the hotel.
They have that thing called a day roll every hotel does. At some point, they will say, no, you're buying for tomorrow. You can't get into a room anymore. And it has to do with the internal processes around the hotels.
Interesting.
Some hotels are different than others, but 2 o'clock is sort of the highest common denominator. So.
Wow, that's interesting.
So
there really is a massive channel conflict here, and it's really hard to balance, isn't it? Like, not channel conflict. There is a fear amongst the hotels that you're going to become the default way people, and you're going to train people to get cheap hotels.
I wouldn't say there's a fear. If there was a fear, we wouldn't be successful. We work with over 1,500 hotels.
Right.
We've had less than 5% of all the hotels that we've worked with, that we've sold rooms with, say that we don't want to work anymore.
How did you alleviate that? Is it all these little tiny nuances?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things. So, one is that there's this lack of certainty on which is going to be for sale every day. Right. The other is that we've done surveys, and of the guests that stay with Hotel Tonight, 91% of them have never been to that hotel. So this is almost like a marketing and customer acquisition channel for these hotels.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then the hotels are also looking at the quality of these guests. We don't see that, but we hear anecdotally that they're very happy with people like you staying at the hotels.
Yeah.
Not only because you guys are influencers, but because you're spending money when you're on property. And we make merchandise the hotel. If you look here on the
right, if you're using an iPhone to buy, you've just selected yourself into a higher group.
That's right, and we also merchandise the hotel.
Do they treat Android phones differently?
Android
guests worth a little bit less, I think.
Again, hard to tell, but we haven't.
Sounds like a definitive yes.
No, we can't tell. How do we know? So
you seem to know a lot about these customers.
We know.
You know that.
We know in aggregate.
I'm paying whatever it is, $3,000 for 2 years of an iPhone versus $1,200 for an Android phone for 2 years. So you do know that.
Yeah, but we don't report what device the user booked with to the hotel, so they can't segment. We don't. Like,
it's
a Hotel Tonight guest.
Still on iPhone 3G. Like, can they reject iPhone 3G people?
That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, this offer is only available to people with the 4S. If you've got a 4 and you did not upgrade to the 4S, we're really not interested in giving you a deal. How many rooms does a hotel put in every night?
It really varies on the hotel. So we make it fully yieldable. Sometimes people put in just 1 or 2 rooms. Sometimes they put in 100.
Wow.
And it really depends on what their need is and how many they need to sell. And that's what the hotels really love about Hotel Tonight is that it's fully yieldable, that they can load in 100 rooms and then sell half of them, say, on Hotel Tonight. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, hey, I need to buy out that block of rooms. I've got another hotel needs to move people over. They can close out those 50 rooms immediately.
It's
really?
All real time. Yeah. So it's not like if they say we have 25 rooms and all of a sudden they say we have 0, you're like, yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. So what happens is it goes to the next best deal. So
it's AdSense for hotel rooms.
There's a lot. It works a lot more like AdWords than it does Groupon.
Yeah. So the next person puts up their deal, and who says one deal is better than the other? Is it like you average out their average price per night, and then how much of a discount it is on their average price?
Yeah. There's a bunch of factors involved. Yeah. So we compare the hotel's deal price against the hotel's own web price, or the walk-in price. So that's how we do apples to apples comparison. Right. It's really hard to what is a normal price. So we've thought and found out and that's the best price out there to use as a comparison price. So we look at that discount a lot. We look at the absolute low price. We look at, is there a good mix of hotels? So something for everyone in different categories. We look at how successful that hotel's been in the past, how recently they've sold hotel rooms. There's about 10 other factors that go into determining which hotel gets on sale. And then we're optimizing for user experience. So if something isn't selling, we'll make changes.
Okay, when we get back from commercial break, we're going to talk about my experience with Hotel Tonight.
All right.
My first experience, which, just to give a little teaser, I paid $200 for my room, and it turned out to be a room I was not happy with. And I tweeted it, and you got back to me instantly.
Yep.
And it was big controversy.
Highly controversial.
Highly controversial.
Go into it. I want to hear more about it.
We're going to go into all the details when we get back of my subpar experience. But then, actually, how it made sense. Hey, here's something that makes a ton of sense. Squarespace. What an amazing service. I use Squarespace again. It's another one of these products I've been using for a long time. I met the team from Squarespace, and I fell in love with their product and fell in love with them. Really great, hardworking, smart team in New York. Also very good-looking and stylish, I might add. They're down in Soho. And they make beautiful templates for building websites. You have these people in your family. You probably have this happen when you're on vacation with the family. Oh, you're in the internet business. Can you make my website for me? I have a friend who needs to make a website for their gardener or their plumber or this or that. And God, you're like, I don't know anybody who builds websites. I don't know. What do you go to Craigslist or something? And then you have this happen to other family members. They go to Craigslist. They hire a web designer. The web designer builds it. Then the web designer gets a job. Then the web designer turns off their old email and says, I don't have a consulting business anymore. And then the person's like, well, I can't even log into my website. I don't have the password. And then the FTP is not up. And then they can't change their website. And then you got to hear about it again. This is not the way to run a business. What you want to do is use a great partner like Squarespace, and they have just launched their version 6, which has all these gorgeous websites, and it's all, fancy HTML5 and CSS, and it all works on iPad or on your iPhone or on any mobile device or on the web. And gorgeous design is what they're all about. This Kubert, am I pronouncing that right? Kubert or Kubert? I don't know. Anyway, gorgeous website. Here's the Ishimoto one, and everything just scrolls gorgeously and works well on, hey, there's Hotel Tonight. They didn't design your website. I have a feeling you did that one yourself. But everybody has to go check out Squarespace 6, and it's very affordable. It's a couple of bucks a month. And now they'll give you, and it's all drag and drop, and I don't have technical, HTML designers on my team here at This Weekend or on launch. And when I ask, hey, can you change this on the website? They go in there, boop, 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 2 or 3 clicks, and they'll put something in the navigation, or they'll add something, or they'll add a form. Whatever it is, they can do it without having to call a developer. That's really key, because you're trying to run a small business. You're moving fast, and you don't want to have to dilly-dally and wait for a developer to get off whatever project they're working on and then do technical work for you. Purchase a yearly or bi-yearly plan, you get 20% off. TWiST listeners get another 10% off. I think we're up to 30 now if you use the code TWiST8, TWiST 8. Now, in addition to all that, you get a free domain name if you sign up. So it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and more affordable, and this is the value service. This is what the future is about. It's like Virgin America or Square or Squarespace or MailChimp. These people are providing awesome services with amazing high design and high value at very affordable prices because they get so many customers. You look at a product like Instagram, there's like 20 people made it, but 40 million people used it. This is where the world is going. It's going to excellent. Not good products, not great products, but excellent products. The excellent products win the market share. The great products or the good products, they get a little bit. The great products get a little bit. The good and the okay products get crushed and destroyed. That's the age of excellence we're living in, and Squarespace is setting a standard for excellence that I can, you know, I don't have to read an ad here. I don't even need to have ads in the program. You guys know that. I did okay. I don't need to put ads in here. I put ads in here because I know that I can get behind them. Hey, listen, it helps pay for the lights and everything and the staff, but I don't need to read ads for bad products. I'll only read an ad for an excellent product. That is my promise to you. If I'm reading you this ad, you know you can trust it, and Squarespace is the best. Just look it up on any site. They're going to be like the #1 ranked place for service for building a website. Thank you, Squarespace. And hey, if you haven't tried Squarespace, please do that, and thank @Squarespace on your Twitter account. All right, so I was at a dinner for... that's some fancy dinner, blah, 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 VCs or whatever. And I was supposed to go home. It was exactly this situation. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I called up Crute. I texted Crute. I'm driving. I'm not going to make my flight. Get me a room. Use hotel tonight. Now, I got 1 million Starwood points. Or I've had up to 1 million at some points. I don't know if I've had
literally 1 million, yeah.
Yeah, when I say million, I mean like literally I had like maybe 1 million at one point. Maybe I have 500,000. I don't know. And Starwood is great. It's only like 12,000 or 10,000 points for a room. So it's a pretty good deal. And have all the credit cards and everything. But I was like, I want to try this hotel tonight. And I'm down in the, you know, sort of Palo Alto area. So he says, okay, I found a great place. Looked on Yelp. It was around 3.5 stars on Yelp or whatever. And, well, there's a whole nother thing because 3 stars on Yelp doesn't mean anything anymore because if you're 3-star, anyway, we get into that. You have to be really 4.5, 5 stars to be really great. And he says, this place looks great. And I went there and I was like, this is not the hotel that I would normally stay at this point in my career, in my life. Like if I was broke-ass entrepreneur 20 years ago, yes. But it was sort of like $100 a night hotel. But we paid $200 on the service. And it was certainly not like a $200 a night hotel. So I had this very jarring experience. Gorgeous web app, gorgeous photos, decent Yelp review. But then the room... I'm not saying the room was bad. I mean, people were staying there. It's perfectly fine $100 a night hotel. But it wasn't a $200 a night hotel. So not only did I not feel like I got the promise of hotel tonight, which is a great deal, I felt like I got, not ripped off, but I felt like I paid twice as much as I should for the hotel. What happened?
Well, so, you know, what the prices are, they're based on, and the discounts are based on market conditions. So, you know, there's times in New York, Fashion Week, for example, where we'll sell a hotel room for, you know, $499.
Soho Grand.
Soho Grand, you know. Or even something that in our solid category, which we would typically sell, we've seen some of those same hotels go for $99. Like,
what's a solid hotel? What'd you call it? What's solid?
So that's one, so we do basic, solid, hip, luxe.
Got it.
Those are the main 4 categories.
So basic would mean like the hotel I stayed in, $100 a night hotel typically.
Right, that's right.
Solid would be your...
Like a Marriott or
that's
like
a nice hotel.
A chain hotel.
$200
something that's dependable. You can be confident staying there. Clean room. Hip is like the Ace or somewhere with a bar. And
W maybe, but you don't have
right.
W's probably.
And then Luxe is somewhere like the Vitale in San Francisco. The upper echelon.
Yeah.
So this was more towards the basic or solid end of things.
Yeah.
But it's market pricing. So there was some sort of event, I think, in San Francisco and in the peninsula.
Yeah.
And so prices were already high and inflated. We were providing a discount off of that inflated price. So it's a relative discount. So that's one piece. The other piece is that the hotels are setting their pricing. So what we had as a year ago as a product challenge is, all right, what happens when prices are high? We like to show really low prices, but the inventory ultimately is given through this AdWords effective interface.
Right.
And if the only inventory we're getting is higher than we want, we have 2 options. We could show it or we could not show it. If you need a room and we don't show it...
You want to show the option.
Right. So you want to show the option. But we needed to message that this is not the type of deal that you would normally see on Hotel Tonight because of these market conditions.
The surge, if you will.
It's a surge. I mean, we don't control it, so it's not quite a surge pricing.
Right.
But effectively, it's a surge pricing that's set by the hotel based on supply and demand.
Got it. And so you do have some sort of indicator that there was surge pricing going on, but it's not a huge indicator. And Uber had the same issue around, on I guess New Year's, they doubled the price or tripled the price so that the drivers who do double and triple their prices, what are they going to do? They have the same exact issue. So what's the lesson there for you guys? Do you have to just do a massive job communicating it?
Yeah, I think we'll look again at, is it, so I think the issue is that the person who booked the hotel didn't actually see the message, right?
Yeah.
So that was an odd situation that, so maybe we need to put that message in the email receipt, to let people know what they're getting, would help close the loop there.
Yeah, I think Uber had to do like a triple down on communication of that, because we as consumers, we get trained into what is the value proposition, don't we? And it's very hard if the proposition changes for us. Right. People get angry.
Yep. But there's some times when we can't show $100 rooms. If you show up at a city that's hosting the Super Bowl, right, and you expect to find $100 rooms, unlimited numbers of them, right, that's just not going to happen. Right. We're reselling rooms for another company. They're setting the price. We're going to have some inventory every day at noon. It's just going to be higher sometimes than other times based on those market conditions.
What cities does this work best in? Is there like a type of city where this works best? Is it like a San Francisco, New York thing? Or
San Francisco, New York, LA are working really well, and
Why is
Vegas.
That? Travel hotels, or because of people who live there doing the extra spending on a hotel room because they're drunk and don't want to drive, whatever, partying people?
There's two factors. The one is what does the hotel inventory look like in that city? And New York is great because it's a lot of independent inventory where they're competing against each other for these spots in the app. Fragmented. The hotels are really interesting to look at, so there's a lot of eye candy, and the merchandising works really well.
They take great photos.
We actually take the photos in the app ourselves.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. So we wanted them to be consistent in quality. We want to take them at night. You'll see that the bar photos they have people in them.
Yeah, pull up the iPad, guys. Oh, so you actually put people in there so that you can...
So you can sort of see what the actual hotel looks like.
And this is something that Airbnb sort of championed, right? Like they went out and did the photos of people's places so that the photos were big and beautiful and gorgeous.
Yeah, and they're also high res for the iPad, for the new iPad.
What do you do? You build like a freelance workforce of photographers and just give them $500 to shoot a place or something?
No, that would be very generous if we gave them that much. So.
Oh, really? You can even do it for less than that?
It's supply and demand, and we've got great photographers, and they do amazing work.
Yeah, I mean, it really does make it validates it. It's almost like, oh, this is great. When you go onto like TripAdvisor or some of these other places, the hotel photos are taken like with, I don't know, disposable, garbage cameras. So it just ruins the experience. Now,
we also took them upright, which is interesting for mobile. Most of the hotel photos that we could get through other parties are wide frame. So we told them to turn their camera, so every photo is up and down, so it's all sized for the appropriate.
Oh, this was all done with a photo camera?
No. I mean, they just turn their SLR.
Yeah, their SLR, right? These gorgeous photos. Yeah,
but it really captures the mood.
People's faces, which is great.
Yeah, it captures the mood and it captures the amenities.
And it's actually what it looks like. Like you're not like doing this. I was really interesting. There's a website called Oyster, I guess you must be aware of. I guess they review rooms. What do you think of those guys? Is that interesting or not? They like professionally review the rooms, but it doesn't feel that appealing to me. I'm not sure why.
I think if you go and you look in a city and you look at the hotels they recommend, I think they do a pretty good job of picking out the ones that, for a city well, you can cross-reference it, and I think they do a very good job of picking out the hotels that you would recommend. And the hotels that are mediocre, they tell you why they're mediocre.
How do they make money? They book the stuff, or
they do referral fees, so they're a media model. It's the same as TripAdvisor. So they link out to a site where you book the room then.
And everybody is starting a company around hotels now. I mean, I just see it everywhere. And they generally, it seems like people stay away from airline booking. Why?
Two reasons. One is, it's all sort of related to the fact that there's a lot of supplier concentration. So because of that, the minute you're successful with something, the airlines say, great kayak, thank you for sending all those referrals, and we're going to take your prices down for referring a ticket purchase. We're going to take them in half. Oh, you don't like that? Well, we're going to just take you. We're going to cut your feet off. So, do you want United or do you want American or do you want JetBlue on your site or not? Because so they have the power, the supplier power ultimately. So they can dictate pricing.
What's the commission on something like that? Like if I buy a JetBlue ticket through, one of these services, I heard it's just like $3 or $4.
Yeah, if you're lucky. So
it's nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah, there's no money in airlines because there's the supplier power in it. So airlines is a really awful business. What's interesting is that it's a business that has a lot of consumer need to solve problems in. That's why Hipmunk's been successful.
Right.
That's why Kayak initially was successful. But most of those searches are in that space around airlines for airline search.
So they need innovation, but they're not willing to share the revenue increased and generation.
It's not that they're not willing; it's that it doesn't make any business sense for them to do so.
Yeah,
I mean, the other thing is that it's globally the whole business has been unprofitable since the dawn of time.
Why is that? Yeah. Why can't these people make a business out of it? It seems like Richard Branson can.
Huge fixed costs. Yeah, a few people have made it, but as a whole, like huge fixed costs. Highly volatile fuel prices. Really hard to hedge that.
Unqualified management who's overpaid and flips over every 18 months. I can say. Yeah. I'm not in the industry, but my God,
they have great food, right? So
I have to say, I can't fly these other airlines like Delta and American. It's just,
yeah.
Disaster. Okay, but and the second thing is what, the commission structure?
Yeah, I mean, so it all trickles down from the supplier power. So there's no money in it. There's no innovation in it because these guys just don't have to. I mean, it's almost like working for the government because it was the government, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point, right? And it still is in some countries.
It's very hard to get any deals done there. They just don't want to work. But compare that to hotels where there's fragmentation. In New York alone, there's probably 10 times more independent hotels than there are airlines in the country. So we're able to say, hey, would you like to work with us and at Hotel Tonight? Oh, you don't? Well, we're going to move over to the next guy, and he's going to sell a lot of rooms through us. Oh, would you like to sell rooms through us now? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, why don't we figure out how we can get you on board and whatever and compete against the other guys in the market. So
you guys have been getting knocked off left and right. People are stealing the idea, correct?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Flattering,
but also disheartening, frustrating. Does it make you angry to have so many quick copycat type people?
Yeah, I think last count we had 8 or 9 of them.
Domestically or internationally?
Internationally, yeah.
So Samwar Brothers in Berlin?
None of the German guys, no. So different German guys, a couple of the German groups. I think that building an app is fairly straightforward. You can reverse engineer what we do on the app side very easily.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes is very difficult. And
building the relationships with those hotels.
Well, just building the code base. So about 80% of our code is not on the app itself. It powers the stuff that puts the deals into the app. Right. It's the marketplace, right? Exactly.
The algorithm.
And the relationships with hotels, the interconnectivity with hotels. We have great 24/7 support. That's expensive. That's hard to scale. We've got this great team of people that are out there negotiating deals and finding new hotels. We've got our own great content and merchandising. All of that's really hard to actually, it would be fairly straightforward to build for one city. It's very hard to scale at an operation where you're doing the level of transactions that we are. I think that those guys will have a lot of trouble getting to critical mass.
Yeah, and you've raised a war chest, I don't know, to date, $30 million or something to that effect. Yeah. You've done 3 rounds of funding in how many years?
A year and a half. We did, 3 rounds of funding.
So in 18 months, you raised your angel or your A, B, and C. In 18 months.
Yep.
The last round was big. That's opportunistic growth because you've had so much success? Because it seems like that's obviously it's a compressed amount of financing in just 18 months. Why, as an entrepreneur, did you choose to do that?
I think that it allowed us to feel more comfortable with being aggressive. We didn't need it right away, but we had a chance, one, to get money from USVP and Rick Lewis there, who I've known for 3 years and have wanted to work together. US Venture Partners.
Yeah, that's a great firm.
And specifically Rick, who I really like and respect and have wanted to work with. So that was one part of the calculation.
And you're talking about a specific person at a firm, I noticed, not just a firm. You're a seasoned entrepreneur. You've been in the game for a long time. You're not picking a firm as much as you're picking a partner, correct?
It didn't necessarily happen that way on the A round, but I was picking. I learned. I met the people at the firms, but I've learned that is very important to pick the right people.
Yeah. So who did the A?
Lucky. So it was Brian O'Malley at Battery, who and actually have known him for about 5 or 6 years. So that was picking a person and a long-term relationship. Right. And then we brought on first round, and it's a guy named Kent there, and then and then Excel, which is Teresa, is the board member.
Wow! So this is all like great firms.
I got really great firms and got really lucky with the chemistry of the board. Not lucky, I guess, just they're that good. So
people talk about this board chemistry. Why is that important to you as a founder? You just don't want nonsense at your board meetings. You don't want people wasting your time. You want people contributing. I mean, what's the truth about this board chemistry and why this keeps coming up? What does that mean? Why is that such an issue for entrepreneurs?
Well, you don't want to waste time. It's like having they're my boss, right? And so I want them to be really clear with what they want out of me, and I want them to be helpful. So we recently had a couple of big strategic decisions to make, not only around the funding but other things, and with our international expansion, for example. And I laid out 5 questions that we wanted to have answered during the board meeting, and we nailed them all in an hour and a half. And there was consistency. It was extremely helpful, and we were able to move forward.
And their role in that discussion is to help you frame the discussion and come to the best answer, the most informed answer.
Yeah,
not to just tell you what to do.
No. And it comes from me because I'm dealing with stuff that I've never dealt with before as an entrepreneur. This is much larger than the other companies that I founded. So, for me, it's like, hey, we could go a lot of different directions here. I really want you've seen this a lot more than I have. And so it's really important for me to know what you think. And I'm not, maybe I disagree with you. Maybe we ultimately decide to do something else. We've done that before. And they've supported my decision on things that they didn't necessarily align with. But for the most part, their perspective has just been great.
And by definition, if you're a venture capitalist and you have the ability to put millions of dollars to work in these companies, you've had some degree of success in your career, and if you have the ability to raise that amount of money, you've had some success in your career or with the current company, the egos might be large in those rooms at times. These are very successful people. Mm-hmm. That can be challenging if people are successful, they've got a lot of wins under their belt, they're going to have strong opinions. You've got to manage 5, 6, 7 strong personalities in that room.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience where we've had that egotism. Maybe it's because the guys that have been doing this are just that good and they're pros, and they're in it for the long term. They've been at it for a while, and they know that that's not going to win any of the long term friendships and relationships that you need to be successful at here.
Yeah, but you hear those stories. Of the egos on some boards just tearing them apart.
Yeah.
Somebody's been successful in their last 2 businesses, and they got to tell the other guys, or the gal on the table.
And I'm incredibly lucky that we've got such a good team that just, and board that just lets us execute well.
You keep hearing about this founder, I don't want to say founder privilege, but this sort of founder first, let's call it that, trend. Founders getting control of their companies, even post-IPO, Larry and Sergey, obviously. Sean Parker was pivotal in getting Zuckerberg complete control over Facebook, and this whole founder in control trend is basically traceable back to Sean Parker, who ironically lost control of a lot of startups pretty brutally. Those are whole other stories that I'll let him tell. But this is benefiting founders, isn't it? Like you feel like there's a little bit more respect of founders in the Valley now and respect for the founder as opposed to just 10 years ago when Web 1.0 was ending. The general conception was, or the general thinking was, founders are replaceable and should be replaced. Mm-hmm. And now we're just 10 years later and people are saying, you know what? Get that founder back in here because this wonky MBA, no offense if you got one, but this wonky, professional CEO is screwing things up because they don't understand product. This is a good trend, and are you feeling it?
It's interesting. I do have an MBA, but I had to take it off of my bio on Hotel Tonight because it became a liability. I mean, I've learned a lot from
Really,
MBA.
It has?
Yeah. Well,
how so?
So for my personal brand, it's become a liability. So with hiring, nobody wants to work for a Silicon Valley startup for an MBA. It's got baggage in that term. Now, my MBA valued every minute of it, completely worth it for me personally.
Harvard, Wharton,
Kellogg. So
where? Kellogg.
At Northwestern. So a lot of marketing. And
I like a Kellogg. That's good. Northwestern. That's like salt.
And Chicago was great.
Yeah, that's like legit.
Great
hardworking.
But and I was an English major undergrad, so I didn't know a lot of this stuff.
But people don't want to work for an MBA.
But people, it's just it's got an overhead. So, and both me and the co-founder Jared both have MBAs, and then the CTO doesn't. But for a while in the masthead or whatever the bios, there was like 2 MBAs. Like if you're a 22-year-old developer, who wants to go work for an MBA? So it was sort of an ironic moment.
They're afraid you're going to take out a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You're like, listen, I was looking at your last 7 days, and
right.
here, number of code commits divided by the amount of transactions.
Here's a PowerPoint that I want you to build, right?
Yeah.
And I'll see you in 3 months, right?
Exactly.
So nobody wants that. So it was, and that's not how I operate. So I just took the term off there and let people find it on LinkedIn if they wanted to see it. But
yeah. So back to the founder sort of.
Back to the founder. I think it has changed.
First trend,
it has changed a lot. I don't know if that's supply and demand. There's certainly a lot more money than good deals out there.
True.
So I think, and I also think that people and investors have realized it's a long-term play, right? If the guys that put money into bourbon hadn't realized that, then that was their loss. So I think, or Twitter, there's plenty of examples now of companies where you stay with the founder, that even if they don't do right the first time out, they're going to do right long term.
Right.
So there's a lot more respect, even if, versus looking at it at the initial, when I was first raising money and the first couple companies, it really felt more like transactional, like almost like investment banking was how it was being viewed at, right? Like, we're going to put money into this deal, we got to get it back. Right. But now, and maybe it's younger partners, maybe it's just more sophisticated partners, they're looking over the lifetime of a relationship, and we're going to make money on this entrepreneur and this person,
right?
And this team over the course of a set of companies. Now, Hotel Tonight's going to be a great return for them too. So I don't want to say that.
Yeah, but no, it is true. They are thinking about it multi-company, and I think probably George Zachary and Charles River with their Twitter ODO experience, and sticking with the founder there, and other folks sticking with the founders, seeing return after return after return. And Fred Wilson with Zynga, because he backed Freeler, I guess. Mark Pincus is. So what's
another story on this is that I think that the Valley talks a lot more now, and it's more, and with social media it's
transparent.
It's more transparent. And so I did a pitch on my first company to another firm that didn't invest, that will remain nameless. But one of the guys came in to sort of everybody wanted to do the deal except for this one guy. He hadn't met with me, and so he came in and they sort of warned me that he asked a lot of tough questions. And this guy was such a jerk, right?
You were about to say a-hole, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like stuff like, why will this ever be successful, right? Well, that type of which is just a stupid question to begin with. Like, if you really believe that, then why are you wasting time talking to me, right?
Yeah.
So
how could this ever be successful?
Right.
Like, that's like the parent, that's like the worst parent ever.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never amount to anything.
That's right.
What's your China strategy?
Exactly.
What happens when Microsoft comes into your market? Like all these 1999 questions.
Exactly. What happens if you don't hit your numbers one month? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
we don't hit our numbers.
Yeah. So
we'll raise more money next time.
And so this guy was such a jerk that I was like, why would I ever want to work with him? And why would I ever want to, tell anyone else to work with him?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm out, and thank you very much. I'll take money from the other guys.
And it's thefunded.com has all these reviews of the VCs now, and they're all managing the reviews. AngelList now. I'm always very concerned about my reviews on AngelList. Like, wow, I want to make sure, I don't want to, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody get a bad review on AngelList, but God, that would be damaging if somebody.
Sure.
And there are VCs who are in the Valley. People say, watch out for that one.
Right.
Specific partners.
Yep.
So go ahead, tell us which ones those are.
I don't even remember. It was the day after my son was born. So I was already sort of mixed up in the head. And so I don't know, he could have been a really nice guy.
So you take the time to go to a pitch.
Yeah.
And this guy's got the balls to ask you what happens when you fail.
Yeah, the brass balls, that's right.
The brass balls.
Yeah.
Gary Glenn Ross.
Yeah, it was just, I'll always remember that as how not to treat someone. So anyway.
How ridiculous is the talent competition right now? I mean, it seems like there's no developers left, and that two developers with a very small amount of experience can get into an incubator and get $25,000 or $50,000 to make something, so they're not going to go get a job. Are we at the end of the road right now in terms of the talent bubble? I mean, is this basically the sign that it's going to deflate?
I don't know. Other people have said this, but it's even in good times, there's competition for the best guys. So I think right now the hard part is that there's incubators that are snapping up a lot of that really great talent and just taking them off the market. But then they come back to the market, and there's companies that have raised $500,000 and their business didn't work out the way it didn't catch fire the way that it should have.
Sideways.
And went sideways or whatever. That's fine. And you make a bet, and it
could happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody. You make a bet and it doesn't work out, and then they're looking for a new home, and they can return some money to investors that way. So that's another, and that's one of the reasons.
Acqui-hires.
The acqui-hire. That's one of the ways that one of the reasons we raised money is to be able to be part of that type of to have the valuation and the cash to support those type of decisions if we wanted to make them.
That's great. So if you're valued at $100 or $200 million, you can very easily I'm going to guess 150 you guys are valued at. So you can say, we'll buy this for $5 million, and doesn't dilute the cap table all that much. And you can give them a little bit of cash, no problem. And get 4 great developers, something like that.
Potentially, yeah. So.
Okay, so you're confirming $150 million. No. No, but if you raise that much money, it's got to be, you guys got to be in the 9-figure space right now. There must be some hotel chains who look at what you're doing and they're just like, absolutely not. Like, so I don't see Starwood in there. Is Starwood participating yet?
We're in active discussions with all the chains, so and figuring out the right way to put them on the app. Typically, the chains don't like discounting.
Right.
We have a different formula where we say, just give us a discount on the stuff that you're not going to sell otherwise, which does appeal to the chains. It appeals to everyone. It's just logical, right? So
they can just give you such a little bit. I mean, if they just give you 3 rooms, 5 rooms, it's not going to change anything.
It's incremental, and we've proven that it's incremental. We've proven that it's new customers. It's not cannibalistic. There's trade-offs in terms of not knowing if it's going to be on sale, that it's afternoon. So there's all these protections for the hotel.
Yeah.
So we're in active discussions with all of them. I think that the ones that are probably never going to show up, or not never's a long time, but not imminent, are the Ritz-Carltons or the Four Seasons in particular.
Right.
They don't discount ever.
They don't want to be associated with the concept of discounting.
Right. And so Four Seasons didn't even discount their own rates on their own website in 2008 when they were about to go out of business. So they were going to be happy to go bankrupt versus to discount their own products.
Wow, whoever the CEO of that company is has got some brass
because
ones.
They knew it's big ones, yeah. And that was they said that long term the value of the brand would be diminished, and so we'd rather go through bankruptcy than be known as a place that has discounts.
Wow,
pretty amazing.
That is pretty stunning. The world is moving to value, though. I mean, if people can't make more money, and people can't, and employment sort of permanently reset a little bit, and prices are going to have to come down for services, and they're going to have to be provided more efficiently. I just noticed a trend at Starwood, specifically, where they said, we'll give you points if we don't have to come clean your room up. That's pretty fascinating, right? They're all trying to save money and pass it on to the customer in some way. So what's next for the firm? I mean, to get all this early success, to have a business that I'm assuming could be profitable if you weren't trying to expand like you are, to have all this venture capital, what's the challenge for you now as an entrepreneur?
Well, it's growing the team, growing the operations, getting good people involved, keeping them excited about what we're doing. And that goes into hiring. You can't just say, well, we're going to build this app, we're going to launch Paris. That's not interesting. So we're coming up with part of it is the general product development that we would do otherwise, but then also how do we make that very interesting for the team? So do we push it in a different direction? The iPad app, for example, is a lot more elaborate than what I would have said to do to the team, and it took a little bit longer, but the results are really great, and it's gotten great reviews, and people really love it, and it converts really well, and the team loved putting it out there. So
you actually have to make a decision as a founder, as a leader. I'm not going to go with what I think is the most efficient. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of room to spread out and get creative and take an extra month. Even if it's not in the best short-term interest of the business, I'm going to go long-term, the happiness and the joy of my team in making something that's creatively fulfilling.
There you go, yeah. And that keeps people engaged and excited. We've set up our development team very interestingly. It's that we don't have product managers. So the developers do their own product management. And so
it's a Facebook-style development culture.
Facebook-style, yep. And so there's no layer. All the developers report to the CTO, it's a very flat organization. So
it's reporting to the CTO, and they say, what about this idea? Or the CTO or some business person says, we should do this idea.
Well, the business person, the MBA, me, right?
Yeah, the MBA comes down and says, we should have this.
That a-hole MBA. But we'll decide as a team what we want to do, and then the specifics of it and the implementation of it are really more collaborative.
What type of language do you use when you have to tell somebody that you're not going to use their idea that they are really tied to and love?
A lot of dirty language. I don't know what you
mean. Like how do you? What would if I came to you and said like, this is what I believe it should be. We really need to have video, and you were just dead set against it. And a lot of other members of the team were, but I'm like one of your superstars, and I'm like, we need to hire video people to go in there and interview the concierge, and we need to make a video of each city and why you need to go to that city.
Yeah.
So, and now, what do you say to me as your star?
We're pretty metrics oriented. I mean, if you were the star, which you would be, then we would figure out a way for you to do that and test it, I guess. So we would say, all right, do an interview and let's see what the results are. You tell us up front what you think the results are going to be, and if you kill it, then that'll be your full-time gig. And if there's an easy way to do that. Now, what gets harder is if it's a big feature within the app. You can't necessarily test. You can't A/B test apps. You can't put A/B testing out there. Apple says, why would you A/B test? Just choose the best option. So
yeah, it's a very Steve Jobs approach.
Yeah.
Why would I test? These customers don't know what they want.
That's right. I can choose it.
They don't need more than one button. Why would you have a back button?
There's something to be said for that. I mean, A/B testing does mean that you're not willing to make a call. It does mean that you're slowing things down to optimize. So, I mean, there's times when A/B testing can be useful, but
but that's a good way of doing it. If the team has decided they don't want to do Project A and your superstar wants to do Project A, you just tell her, do some metrics and convince us with metrics.
Right.
Because you got a room full of people who don't have the same gut decision you have, but we trust your gut, so let's get some data behind your gut.
And we do that a lot with marketing stuff, and that's easy to test. In terms of when it's a feature, we're very metrics oriented in terms of the features that and the metrics that drive the business. So we'll look at a feature and say, all right, what do we think this is going to do, right? So having the iPad rotate, which would be something nice, the amount of time that's going to take, which is significant, just to do rotation, versus the benefit in terms of the metrics that we have, both App Store rating, conversion, customer visits per month, all of the key metrics. It would be hard to justify that one, right? So that was actually my one, because I like to hold the iPad on the side.
It's so funny. Everybody's having the same discussions. I was like, if an iPad app doesn't flip, it's a sign that it's not a quality app.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? It's going to take us as long. It's basically like building a new app.
You want to double the time? Yeah.
And I was like, no, we'll just go with landscape.
Right. Yeah, that was an easy decision for me. So.
Yeah, it's amazing how slow this is compared to web development. You really have to slow down, don't you?
Well, you pick up some things, right? So it's the common, especially on iOS, the common platform. You don't have a lot of browser fragmentation. You don't have a lot of, what you know is going to be there. So that part of it's great. And the positioning, you can say, I want this on this specific corner of the page, a half inch up. You know that it's going to be there on every iPad, the exact same place. That's pretty powerful. But the testing does take a lot longer because there's no automated test suites yet. And then the actual layout takes a long time. And
analytics is just emerging. Everything is just taking time. What about Android?
Android, it was our number one requested thing. We launched it about a year ago. Until that point, it was like every other support email was like, when are you going to get Android? Right. It's a significant portion of our bookings right now. But it is...
But the minority, clearly.
But the minority, under 50%. But it's still a newer platform for us, and the fragmentation there is definitely difficult to develop for. And
it's brutal.
It's brutal. Yeah, we spent a lot more time debugging, and instead of developing great new features that people love, we spent a lot more time tracking down weird crash errors. So. And we have our own device lab. It's 40 devices, I think, and we have to go buy new ones all the time on eBay when we see a crash from a device we don't have.
What a disaster. Yeah.
It's no fun. That part of it
We're making like 2% of what we, in terms of content and selling content-based apps. We sell 95% on iOS. And then we're spending just as much time on Android. 5% return.
Why are you letting that happen?
Well, I feel because every request we get from a partner is, do you have Android? So you're on the.
So you're doing it for biz dev reasons, not for ROI.
Well, I guess it's we have to be on Android is our thinking, because our partners keep telling us we have to be on Android, and because our customers keep telling us, but then we don't see the results, and so there's a big dissonance. I have a very big dissonance right now. Why? If everybody is saying we need to be on Android, but they're not paying for stuff. Then why do we actually need to be on Android?
Right.
Maybe these Android people are not worth the time. Maybe they should just get these garbage.
There's nothing wrong with the people. It's that.
No, I think it's the people. No, I'll tell you what it is. It's the. Well, you tell me what you think it is.
Well, I think it's the lack of the integrated app store and payment system.
Correct.
So you can't do like 2-button payments. So
is that ever going to be solved?
I don't know. I'm not. That's not
Carrier
my. That's
billing
not my thing.
Going to solve it? You think? Carriers billing it?
I don't know. There just needs to. Google just needs to force everybody into something.
Did you ever consider using Apple's payment system to process stuff? I know it's 30%, but did you ever think, like, I have to go to Apple and convince them to let us do this for the store?
No, it's actually not allowed. So the
commerce,
you can't buy physical things or services through the app using the Apple payment. You can only buy in-app purchases or software.
But what about lobbying them to make it one click through your credit card that's already in the card?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, I don't know. I think that we would like to be the merchant of record on that, to handle returns and to handle disputes. And I think that we can also get preferred treatment there in terms of the credit card companies.
Yeah.
So I think it would be very hard to get the same deal if
you
you're
think
going
Apple's going to make a payment system, though? You think they'll make their own PayPal now they got those credit cards?
I don't know. It's very different for them. So what happens then if somebody uses the Apple payment system to order a product and the product shows up and it's broken, and then you do a chargeback on your card for that product, and Apple has to deal with that then. Now they have to have a huge call center dealing with shirts that showed up that were the wrong color. I just don't see that being.
They become American Express, yeah.
They become American Express. I don't see that happening with that. I don't see them seeing that is a very interesting business for them. So.
Yeah, except how much commerce is going through them. I mean, you have probably 60-70% of your commerce going through iOS devices. I mean, that's significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that for them it's about. And they're very great partners of ours, and they promoted our apps a lot.
Yeah,
and that's because it showcases the features of these devices. And these devices are high margin, and they like to sell a lot of them. And that's their business. So we help. We make a product that makes their devices more.
You ever been in
useful.
A commercial yet, or did they ever put you in a keynote?
No, we haven't done that yet. So
you a little bitter about that?
No, we're only a year and a half old, and we need.
But that is what you guys are thinking. Like, why aren't we in an Apple commercial yet?
Yeah, well, Room 77 was in there because their app had just come out, and they were at the top of the travel category, and they were talking about the Delta app. So Room 77 was right next to Delta, and for that day, or for whatever reason, we were lower in rankings just because of the natural emotions of it.
Brutal.
And so we would have been there for that one day, and then Room 77 gets in there, which it's a family company, and I'm an advisor there, so it was nice to see. But that burned me up.
Won the first year of the launch
bit,
conference. And they're doing great, and it's a different spin on booking hotels.
That's right.
Like that's when you want this specific room, as opposed to any room. I need to put my head on a pillow now.
A specific room, and they've also moved into more just meta search and really comprehensive meta search focused solely on hotels, so they don't have to deal with all the airline stuff.
Well, Sam, continued success with Hotel Tonight. I'm a fan, and everybody follow Sam at Sam Shank, SHANK, on Twitter, and everybody go download Hotel Tonight. It's a great app, and I don't blame you guys for the fact that I bought something on surge pricing and didn't see the surge pricing logo. Thanks so much to MailChimp, first of all, for providing a great product that makes my life easier, but also for supporting the program. Same goes for Squarespace. Again, making my life easier every day. What a great job those guys do. And hey, and your customer service people gave me a credit. They put $50 in my account.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, don't give me the $50. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. That's like our commission or whatever. Just take it. And I was like, I don't really want you to give me money because I tweet. I always feel bad about that if somebody tweets something.
We can take it out if you want that. So
no, don't take it out. No, you can leave it in. It's fine. No, I always feel like, people are like, oh, you tweeted, you liked the service, you didn't, or like that's just to let people know. I don't think it's a good approach when you're working with an angel investor to send them something of significant monetary value. Mm-hmm. It makes them feel very guilty. I had a startup send me like a $250 gift card to a restaurant. I was like,
That's sort of weird. Were they a restaurant company?
I was an advisor, so I had just become an advisor. So actually, maybe in that case that was nice. But even still, I was like, no, they weren't. They were more like a personalization company and it was just like a thank you gift. But I was like, just don't send people who are angel investors things that are expensive, because then they're going to feel guilty because they're going to feel like they should be investing in you, not the other way around. And they don't want the entrepreneurs doing that kind of stuff.
And when I'm evaluating a company, I like to use the service as if I was a consumer. So I don't like to have a VIP treatment. I don't want them to know who I am.
Yeah.
So,
you done a lot of angel investing?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, what, a half dozen?
About a dozen, probably.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Any big successes we should know about?
Grubhub probably.
Oh, yeah. People love Grubhub.
Yeah, Grubhub's doing really well. And their business transformed completely when mobile came around.
What's Ricochet Labs?
They do a game called Crank, Qran.
Yeah. I know
it's
that
like
one.
a daily trivia game. It's really fun.
Oh, yeah. How are they doing?
They're growing. They're doing well.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing like a trivia type thing with our, because we have these educational things, and I actually downloaded QRank, and it was interesting. And I was like, I wonder how they are doing. Wow, that's good. Where are they based?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, well, I got to meet those guys at some point. So everybody check out Hotel Tonight, and if you're a developer and you want an awesome job, I'm going to guess first name at hoteltonight.com tends to work for the CEO. The CEO tends to get their first name at companyname.com.
That's how you can reach me, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So say I'm at hotel.
Developers only.
Developers only. Yes, exactly. If you are looking to represent them as a PR firm, too late. They're already successful. They don't need to give you $25,000. The PR firms charge a lot of money, man.
Yeah, we have in-house PR now, and it's been fantastic.
I got to hire my own PR person here at Mahalo because we're putting out 5 apps a month. I need people who can get to like these very niche, who do I go to promote the Learn Violin app, or Pride and Prejudice or something. I got to figure that out. Okay, that's it. That's the show. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.